Next, nature of light. The solar radiation which is reaching to the earth. So here that is the source of energy for all the living organisms which are present on this earth. So here the radiation which is coming to the earth, it will be in the electromagnetic radiation. Of this electromagnetic radiation, some radiations are useful for performing photosynthesis by the plants. Here the range of electromagnetic radiation which is useful for photosynthesis ranging between 390 to 760 nanometers or 3900 to 7600 angstroms. And here this radiation, we can call it as a photosynthetically active radiation. Because it is a wavelength of light where the maximum photosynthesis is possible in the plants. So here it will be divided into VIBGYOR. So in which V is a violet color which is ranging between 390 to 430 nanometers, and indigo which is ranging from 430 to 470 nanometers, and blue color which is ranging from 470 to 500 nanometers, and green color which is ranging from 500 to 560 nanometers, and yellow color which is ranging from 560 nanometers to 600 nanometers, and orange which is ranging from 600 to 650 nanometers, then red color which is ranging from 650 to 760 nanometers. So here the visible radiation VIBGYOR is divided into different wavelengths of light where the radiation of light will be received by the plants. So out of this, so here the photosynthetic pigments have the ability to absorb the light or at different wavelengths of light, but here the maximum absorption will be there in the blue and the red lights. So that is in between 470 to 500 nanometers and between 650 to 760 nanometers, the maximum absorption of photosynthetic radiation is done by the plants. So where the rate of photosynthesis will be high. So the electromagnetic radiation also contains other radiations apart from this visible radiation. So those are cosmic rays, gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet rays, infrared rays, and red. So here this is other part of the electromagnetic radiation. Here the visible light or visible radiation will come in between the ultraviolet radiation and the infrared. That is the photosynthetically active radiation is considered as a visible radiation. So that means the wavelength of light which is less than the visible light is a UV, and the one which is more than the visible next one is the infrared radiations. So here also there is a possibility of photosynthesis, but here the rate of photosynthesis will be negligible or very minute in their nature. So maximum radiation where the photosynthesis is performed by the plants is the visible light. In that also the blue and the red light of wavelength is a one which where the photosynthetic rate will be very high, and the photosynthetic yield in that part of blue wavelength and red wavelength is high. Here next one is absorption spectrum and action spectrum. Here different photosynthetic pigments have ability of absorbing the radiation at different wavelengths. So the graph which is showing the ability of different photosynthetic pigments at different wavelengths of light is called as a absorption spectrum. So here it is directly proportional to the rate of photosynthesis performed by that plant at that particular radiation of light. So here in the absorption spectrum, here it is spectrophotometer is the instrument which is useful for measuring the absorption spectrum of the different wavelengths of photosynthetic pigments at different radiations of light. So if you plot a graph, by taking the absorption of light to that of the wavelength, taking from 400 nanometers, because the maximum will be there after 400 nanometers only, 400 nanometers, 500 nanometers, 600 nanometers and 700 nanometers of wavelength. So let us take it for chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B molecule. For chlorophyll A molecule, here the photosynthetic yield, if you take here, maximum somewhere at 470 to 500 nanometers, and it will come down till the 460 like, and from there onwards it will increase. So this is a way how the photosynthetic absorption will be there for the chlorophyll A molecule. For chlorophyll B also it is little near, so where it will be little bit less than that of chlorophyll A. This is for chlorophyll B molecule. So likewise, if we take the absorptions of both of them, chlorophyll A will be absorbing somewhere, whereas the chlorophyll B is absorbing maximum sunlight at different wavelengths. Likewise, a little variation can be seen in the different pigments where they are absorbing the maximum radiation of the solar energy, or maximum radiation of the wavelength of light. And if we take the example of the carotenoids also, they are also having the similar type of changes. So this is for carotenoids. That means here, if you take the example of chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B and carotenoids, so there is a difference in the absorption of the light at different wavelengths. Next one is the action spectrum. Action spectrum is a graphical representation of the photosynthetic rate at a different wavelengths by different photosynthetic pigments is called as action spectrum. So if you plot the action spectrum, is somewhere between 400, 450 nanometers, 500 nanometers, 550 nanometers, 600, 650 nanometers and around 700 nanometers. So if we take the different colors of this one, so here it is somewhere at a blue color, and green, orange and red color somewhere at 650 to 700 nanometers. So here rate of photosynthesis. The rate of photosynthesis is plotted with the wavelength of light in nanometers. Here starting from 400 nanometers, the maximum will be there at the blue light, and gradually it will come down somewhere at 400, 500 to 550 range, and gradually at the red light, the rate of photosynthesis will be maximum. So this is a photosynthetic rate which is maximum at the blue light and also at the red light. So this shows the action spectrum where the maximum absorption of light will be taking place at both the blue light and red light, actually more at the red light, and comparatively next is the blue light, where the more the amount of light is absorbed, more the photosynthetic rate will be there. So this shows the action spectrum by plotting the wavelength to that of the rate of photosynthesis by the different pigments. Either it may be a chlorophyll pigment or a chlorophyll A pigment or a chlorophyll B pigment will be differing at a different wavelengths of light, where the maximum will be there at the red light and the blue light. If we combine the action spectrum with the absorption spectrum, so here we can see that the absorption spectrum will be like this, where it will coming down at this point and more at once again at the 700 nanometers. This is showing the action spectrum and this shows the absorption spectrum. So here we can see that where the maximum absorption is there, at that point the rate of photosynthesis is more, and where the absorption is coming down, the rate of photosynthesis is also been decreasing, and once again at red light the absorption is more, and at the same point the action spectrum, that is rate of photosynthesis, is also been increasing. Likewise, there is a relationship between the absorption of light and the rate of photosynthesis. So this shows that the relation in this graphical representation.